I'm trying to platinum as many games as I can, and today we have released in 2022 and developed by Criterion Software, Need for Speed Unbound is one of the worst rated games in the franchise, with many people saying that the game doesn't hit the same as the older games anymore. I personally only played the last 3 games in the franchise, and Most Wanted of course. The game has 42 trophies and it is rated 4 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. So let's dive in and see if the game is really as bad as people claim it to be. We hop into the game and choose our character, and while doing some customization, we got our first trophy called Fashion Killer for customizing my character's clothing. The story starts with us and our friend taking our car out for a ride, where we learn the basic controls of the game like turning, drifting and all that basic stuff. We get into the city and join ourselves in a race, and after a while the cops notice us and they start to chase us. We manage to escape them though, and we make our way to our garage, where we meet up with this guy named Rydell, who is the owner of the garage. Apparently the car that we drove was left to collect dust, but we brought it out and fixed it, making it a sweet ride. Rydell warns us about a group of racers from Cereal Heights, and he tells us not to race with them, but we manage to convince him and he lets us do whatever we want. While customizing my car, I got the next trophy called Cool Whip for applying a custom wrap to my ride, and another one called Throwing Up Tags for customizing my driving effects. We arrive at our first meetup and get into our first real race, where we got our next trophy called Drop the Beat for using the Max Burst Nitros 5 times, which is this yellow bar next to the classic Nitro, and it works as a slight push when used. So we use it for the 5th time and the trophy pops. We finish a couple more races, slowly making a name for ourselves in the racing scene, and after a while we got our next trophy called 100 Miles and Running, which as the name suggests is for driving a total of 100 miles. While on the way to the garage, our friend Yaz gets a phone call from this guy named Alec, which is some sort of a big shot in the racing scene, and he gives us a job to go collect and drop off a car. And by doing this job, we can increase our reputation in the racing scene even more. We go and get the car, and it is just there waiting for us, looking a little too peaceful. While as soon as we hopped into the car, the cops immediately started chasing after us, so we need to escape from them before we deliver the car. We managed to escape pretty easily and we arrive at the location, but nobody's there. We call Yas to ask her what this is all about, but she doesn't pick up for some reason. And right at that moment, the alarm at our garage goes off and we immediately start making our way there. We also try to call Rydell, but he also doesn't pick up, so we are prepared for the worst. We arrive at our garage and we see all of our cars getting stolen. Rydell tries to stop them, but that's not happening anytime soon. We go to help Rydell, but also the car that we arrived with also gets stolen. Right at that moment, Yas also arrives, and we ask her who those people were, and she tells us that she has no idea who they are, but right as one of the guys was running away with our car, he just yells her name out, blowing her cover up. Rydell gets really mad and goes all out on her, and she also gets mad and decides to leave as well. We try to stop her, but she also runs away with our car too, now really leaving us with nothing. We do get a trophy though called Hey Lakeshore for completing the prologue. We fast forward 2 years later, where we are starting to get our business back together. We're not as successful as we were 2 years ago, but it's enough to keep the garage running for now. Apart from the garage, we also do rides on the side, where we pick up customers and bring them to where they want to go to get some extra cash. This girl named Tess calls us and asks us to pick her up, so that is what we do. We arrive at the location and we pick her up, and she asks us to bring her to an old car meetup spot. This last 2 years, the car scene laid down a bit because a lot of the cops started taking them down, and today they are finally getting up again. And apparently there is something big being set up in the car scene. We arrive at the meetup and drop off Tess, and we also take a look around a bit ourselves. And we see none other than our friend Yaz that bailed on us 2 years ago, with the same car from back then. Apparently she's some sort of a big shot now, and she tells us about the big event that's been hosted, which is called the Lakeshore Grand, which consists of 3 qualifiers and a finale in a span of 4 weeks. And the prize for winning the finale is this large sum of cash. The cops catch on to us though, and they arrive to shut down the meetup, and so we pick up Tess and we need to escape the cops again. On the way back, we explain our story to Tess, and we also tell her of our garage business, and she asks us to bring her there, so that is where we go. We arrive at the garage and Rydell doesn't seem to be home. Actually, never mind, he was just hiding waiting to ambush us, thinking we're some randoms that came to rob the garage again. We clear up the confusion and we tell Rydell about our encounter with Yes and the Lakeshore Grand, but he doesn't want to get involved again. Tess tells us that if we win the race, she will invest in the garage and help us grow back the garage's reputation. So we finally managed to convince Rydell and we begin our journey. This is also where we get our next trophy called Blast for owning 10 vehicles in our garage. In order to compete in the first qualifier, we need the buy-in. So we go out and do some races where we get the next trophy called Public Enemy for taking down 5 cops in a single day. In this game, the more races you compete in, the higher your hit level goes up, and for the next trophy called Most Wanted, we need to escape a Heat 5 cop chase. So we go out and win a couple more races until we finally get Heat 5 and we start the chase. Our car is not really that fast yet, and it takes us a good couple of minutes to escape, but after a while we finally manage to get away and the trophy pops. After finishing a few more races, Tess calls us and tells us that she has some other work for us, which is collecting a car and dropping it off like last time. Surely nothing will go wrong this time, right? Well, as soon as we enter the car, we get ambushed by cops again, and so we have to shake them off before returning the car. And this is also where we get our next trophy called Hey Speedy for reaching 200 miles per hour. We deliver the car back and Tess starts throwing out some excuses about why the cops were after us, which would have been cool if she told us before we hopped into the car. After a while, she calls us with another job, and this time we're dropping off a Bugatti that's just been left out in the open. Another very suspicious job, but we take it, and not to our surprise, the cops are after us again. We drop the car off safely, and Tess tells us that we actually stole a car for another client. At this point, we're just doing these jobs for the love of the game. We go finish a few more races to get the next trophy called Rebel Without a Pause, which is for completing 30 street races. And with that, the week comes to an end, and it is time for the first qualifier. We go to the meetup, and of course Yaz is also competing. The qualifier consists of 3 races, with each race eliminating the last 2 places. We win the first 2 races easily, but Yaz somehow managed to lose on the second one, disqualifying her from the finals. I guess so much for the tough guy act. And as for us, we win the third and final race, which grants us the trophy New Crew for completing the first qualifier. We go back to the meetup and we confront Yaz about the things she did, and this girl Tess just decides to start live streaming the whole thing. We challenge Yaz to race for our car back, but she refuses, while Tess over here starts throwing some cringe lines in front of everyone. Somebody please kick her out of here. Yaz tells us that if we want the car back, then we have to win the finals. And I don't know if it's just me, but that car is not worth that much. We accept the deal anyways, and now the whole point of the story is just to get the car back from her, which mind you was ours in the first place. Now with the first qualifier done, we need to prepare for the second one, which requires an even bigger buy-in and a better car. And so the cycle repeats again. Everything was going well, and I managed to get a large sum of money for the day, so I wanted to make my way to the garage, but first I had to escape this cop chase. And I somehow managed to get stuck between these rocks and ended up being busted, losing all the cash that I just spent half an hour collecting. Yeah, that was very painful. The next day, we go and participate in this takeover event to get the trophy called In the Flow. And these takeovers are pretty much just smashing random stuff around a certain place for a few laps. And the more things you smash, the more points you get. And for this trophy, you need to earn 200,000 points. It's a pretty easy trophy, and we get it first try, and the trophy pops. On to the next trophy called Escape Artist, which is for escaping a Heat 5 cop chase with an A+ rank car. And basically how rank for the car is determined is the better the car is, the higher the rank. And you can change the rank of the car by equipping better or worse parts to increase or decrease the rank. And since we need an A+ rank car for the next qualifier, we decided to start working on a new car, and while escaping some cops, we get the trophy. The next trophy we got is called Rydell's Rides, which is for fully upgrading our garage, where with every level you get better parts to upgrade your car, and with the final upgrade we get the trophy along with the best parts for our car. And after that, it was just more grinding and grinding until the day of the second qualifier finally comes. We go ahead and start the qualifier, and Yaz of course is not there because she lost on the first qualifier, but it's pretty much the same thing where you go through 3 races and the last 2 places get eliminated every race, and we win the third and final race, which grants us the trophy called Oh It's On for completing the second qualifier. We go back to the meetup after the race to meet up with Tess, who apparently won a lot of bets because she voted for us to win, but she tells us she also voted against us. I don't think she understands how betting works, and she probably didn't make any profit from this strategy. Well, it turns out Alec is actually the one allowing these bets to happen, and is the guy that sweeps in all the money for himself. And if you forgot by any chance, Alec is the guy that Yaz sold us out for. Mind you, this whole story is supposed to revolve around Alec being the main antagonist, but we never see this guy in any cutscenes at all, so his intimidation does not work at all. We also get another trophy called Serious Guap for earning $75,000 in one day, which is almost double from the amount that we lost that time. But don't get me wrong, I'm still mad about that. We can now participate in the third qualifier, which is the same thing again, with a bigger buy-in and a better car in order to participate. And so the cycle repeats again. In the meantime, we got another trophy called Cash Money Millionaire for earning a total of $1 million. The next trophy we got is called Untouchable, which is for successfully escaping 50 cop chases. And now that we got a fast car, they aren't that much of a threat, so we escape the last cop chase and we get the trophy. The next one we got is called Style It Out, which is for completing 10 takeover events. These are honestly honestly really fun and are a breath of fresh air of the constant and repetitive races. And the payout for them is also pretty good, so we complete our final takeover that we need and the trophy pops. And now it is time for the third qualifier. We beat all 3 races as usual and we get our spot in the finals, along with the trophy Lake Better Watch Out for completing the third and last qualifier. We go back and meet up with Yes, who is also competing in the finals somehow. Yes, didn't you lose in the literal first qualifier? How did you get in the finals? Putting that major problem aside, Tess comes up to us and tells us that Alec wants us both to lose so that he can scoop up all the best placed on us for himself, and we'll also get a decent cut for ourselves. But unfortunately for Alec, it was never about the money for us, and so we refused the deal. And this girl Tess starts talking all tough now that she got close to Alec, and looks like she also sold out to him. So we part ways with her as well, and we are off to prepare to win the finals. After a few days of racing and earning money for the buy-in, Yas comes back to the garage out of nowhere, and she tells us that Alec's plan about us losing the race is true. She of course refused, but his ego couldn't handle a rejection, so Yas thought he was going to come back to the garage, and just wanted to make sure nothing happened to us. Also, Rydell's just eavesdropping from behind the window for some reason. Yas tells us the real story about what happened 2 years ago, and she tells us that she just bragged to Alec about the cars we had in the garage, and that is what led to them being stolen. But she didn't know anything about that plan. We asked her why she didn't tell us that from the beginning, but even if she did, Rydell probably still wouldn't have believed her, and he would have thrown her out that night either way, which is fair game, I guess. We ask her what her plan now is, and she tells us about Alec's collection of cars that he stole from us 2 years ago, and that we can take it back from him. And all of those car jobs from Tess that always led to a cop chase? Yeah, it turns out we were stealing all of those cars for Alec's personal collection. So now not only will we get our cars back from 2 years ago, but we will also take back all the other cars we dropped off for him as well. So for this final week, alongside earning cash from races, we also get all of our stolen cars back one by one thanks to Yaz. And now it is finally time for the grand. We go to the meetup and we go up to Yaz just to remind her that the car is still ours if we win. So that is exactly what we do, and we win all the races, granting us our last story-related trophy called Found Family for completing the grand. After the races, Tess comes up to us celebrating like she's still part of the team, and she tells us that she was on either side and just bet on both outcomes, which I still don't think that's how gambling works. Anyways, we finally get our car back and we take it for a quick ride along with Yas back to the garage, and we bring her back on the team with no more hard feelings. With the story now complete, we have one more side trophy left called Flow Master, which is for getting 250 points in a takeover event. And I might be the dumbest person that has ever touched this game, because I was trying to get this trophy for 2 hours straight, repeating the same track over and over again, not missing a single cone and still not getting enough points. At this point, I did the track so many times, I think I can do it with my eyes closed now, but I still could not get 250 points. And when I decided to give up and look for easier ways to do this trophy, it turns out that these takeover events were for drift cars, and I was doing all of them with my track car, but I was still finishing them and getting first place without barely breaking a sweat. So I thought it didn't matter what type of car he had, and when I switched to the drift car, I went back to do it one more time and I got it on first try. Literally 2 hours wasted on nothing. You cannot make this up. After getting this annoying trophy out of the way, we can now move on to the collectible trophies. There are 3 types of collectibles, and each of them have a separate trophy tied to them. The first one we got is called Heaven Spot for collecting all these street art collectibles, which can be found scattered on walls around the map. And once we get the final one, the trophy pops. The next trophy is called Ad Busting for collecting, or rather breaking, all these billboards. They weren't that hard and I managed to break all of them pretty easily, and with the final one, we get the trophy. On to the next one called the Bear Chan, which is for smashing all of these bear collectibles. Again, pretty fun collectible, and they weren't that hard to find. So we smashed the last one and the trophy pops. Now we move on to the activity trophies, which I guess can also count as collectible trophies, because there's also multiple of them scattered around the map. The first one that we got being called In the Zone, which we get for getting 3 stars on all speedrun activities, where we have to go from point A to point B as fast as possible. Some were pretty easy, and for some it took me a while to beat, but with the final one being completed, we got our trophy. The next one we got is called Frequent Flyer for getting 3 stars on all long jumps, where you have to jump from this ramp and try and land as far as possible. Again, pretty straightforward trophy, and upon completing the final long jump, we get the trophy. Up next we have Caught on Camera, which is for getting 3 stars on all speed traps, where you have to go through them as fast as possible. Probably the oldest and simplest activity of them all, and on the final speed trap we get the trophy, which also grants us another trophy called Cleaning Up for getting all collectibles and completing all activities. And now we move on to the online trophies, where I thought I was gonna spend hours collecting them, but it turns out they weren't actually that bad. The first trophy that we got here is the Collector, which we got immediately upon joining the online mode for owning 10 vehicles in my online garage. Since a lot of the cars transfer from the story mode, that is why I got the trophy immediately. The next trophy that we got is called Kick It, which is for using the max burst nitros 5 times again, but this time in online mode. I don't know why there is a separate one for online, but we'll take it. And now we move on to the racing trophies, where there is a separate trophy for winning all types of tiers, with the first one being top billing for winning an S+ race. And I think I accidentally overdid my build a little here, and I got the trophy on my first online race. But for the other tiers of races, I couldn't find any people to race with, since none of them were playing with a lower tier car. But thankfully you can just start the races yourself, and all you have to do is win them by yourself to get the trophies. I started with the lowest tier, which is for B, and moved up all the way to the S tier, making the trophies a lot easier when you're the only one racing. So thank you Criterion for that. The next trophy on the list is Full House, which is for completing a race with 7 players. And you can do this pretty easily by joining a random race, and all you have to do is just finish the race, you don't have to necessarily win. So another W trophy. And the final trophy that we need for the Platinum is called Mixtape, which is for completing 25 playlists, which is not a lot, but it still would have taken quite a few hours to get, and we wanted to get it as fast as possible, so I decided to go for this Hot Pursuit playlist, where a team of cops chase after a team of racers trying to stop them from finishing the race. But as a racer, you can only pick a car tier that the current playlist is set on, which changes every day. And for this day, the car tier was A+. And you might think, oh, A+ is not that bad. Well, that would have been true if the cops didn't have access to S+ at all times. Yeah, on the cops side, you can just choose whichever car you want. And you get infinite nitros on top of that. So the chance of winning as a racer was close to 0%. But to get the trophy, you just need to complete the playlist, you don't have to win it. And I'm not gonna lie, it was honestly a fun game mode, especially when we got access to higher tier cars the next day. And I was actually able to win a few times as the racer now. So with the final playlist complete, we get our trophy and a platinum trophy with it as well. So that was all the trophies for Need for Speed Unbound. I honestly like the game, and I don't know why it has been hated a lot. I mean, sure, there were some frustrating and annoying moments, but it wasn't anything horrible that made me want to quit the game. So yeah, let me know down in the comments what you personally think about this game, and also comment what games you want me to platinum next. And if you liked the video, then a like and a sub would be very much appreciated. See you all in the next video.